Let's go. It's the Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. Whitey Show. After God of War 4 or God of War Ascension, whatever the hell it was called, I was pretty much through with the God of War franchise. It already started to stumble a bit in God of War 3, but Ascension is where I truly felt it fumbled the ball and I really had no eagerness to play any more in this franchise. But then came out the 2018's God of War. Some title it as the greatest PS4 game of all time. But what did I think of this semi-kinda reboot? Well, the game opens with Kratos, but a much calmer and more somber Kratos than we've known in the past. He also has a son now, Atreus. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Probably not, but his son is with him. And it starts off with kind of just a simple hunting of deers and his father showing his son how to be a warrior. And through this opening, you can learn the passing of his mother and Kratos' wife. This almost feels like it could be a prequel. But that wouldn't make sense, as this is much more of a seasoned and wiser Kratos. One who has been through hell and fought all these Greek gods from the previous games and kind of is just in a new place. And then a new god shows up, a Norse god. And well, shit gets crazy from there.
Leave my home.
You are going to have to kill me for that to happen.
I warned you.
Finally.
You would not listen.
So let me just say that the opening is probably one of the best or the greatest of all time, especially the scale and the brutality of facing off against this new, mysterious, and scary god. It gets to show off the gameplay in a lot of great ways, mostly that the signature epicness of the series kicks into high gear as you feel every punch and kick as you go head to head with this new god. But most of all, you feel the need to protect your son as he hides from the god who is after him. And that's where God of War, the 2018 game, succeeds the most, when you feel the urgency of protecting your son while also letting the monster out in Kratos. But it also achieves moments of brilliance in its calm moments when Kratos learns to subside his rage and be a decent parent, as Kratos roars, "Boy!" in such a harsh yet caring way and wanting to protect his son almost all the time. You get to see him do things that you never got to see him do in previous games. It's basically a journey of Kratos learning who he is, while it's also an adventure for his son, so it's kind of getting to see both at the same time in a really unique and cool way. The graphics are stunning, to say the least. While traversing through these worlds, I was just awestruck multiple times. The forest areas, the lush, frost-like freezing zones, the gigantic temples of doom. There's so many cool areas to explore, and the effects of the weapons and the scales of it. I mean, this game never did not impress me in the graphics department. Some of the best out there.
Hold on!
Now, let me say this. There's a lot to gush about this game, but this is where I start to become a bit more critical in my personal feelings towards the gameplay section of this game. While the fighting is tight and pretty fun at times, it did get repetitive for me quicker than I thought it would. The game never was boring, I don't want to sound like it was, but I never really felt that engaged in most of the battles, unless they were presented with like a mini-boss or a full-on boss. Those were exciting and fun, but most fights were simple enough and they played well, but I just wasn't amazed or wowed by the normal fights. And it was cool to see your son help you in battle, but it also kind of made it a little easy at times. I wasn't a huge fan of the traveling in the boats to different areas. I felt it was slow, and while sometimes it gave us some really cool stories of Kratos and bonding moments, I felt they could have just done it in a better way. What I'm saying is that the boat moments really dragged down the entire pacing, for me at least. I can't say much about the puzzles either because I hardly remember them at all, and if there were, they weren't very challenging because I can't remember one I got stuck on or fun. I wish God of War had a few more interesting puzzles and also a better just upgrade system. It felt very standard and not very fun to unlock new weapons, armor, all that stuff. It was just kind of bland. But saying that, the gameplay section didn't fully engross me, and that's why I can't just sit here and say it's the greatest PS4 game ever. I really loved the scenery. I thought the story, when it was moving along and the pacing wasn't interrupted, was excellent. The epic scale and the boss fights all worked for me. But the gameplay itself, the combat, felt a bit stale at times for me, and the level up system, unlocking weapons, and the weak puzzles and all that didn't really work for me. But saying that, this game is still great. I don't want you to get the wrong idea. It's a worth buying. Obviously, it's $20 everywhere, and you can actually get the upgrade version on PS5. So definitely great game, but it's not an amazing one for me. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
I just needed answers, but you had to act all proud. Throw whatever you have at me. I'll keep coming. That old body will give out. But before I end this, I want you to know one thing. I can't feel any of this.